What's good, everyone? Welcome back to Level 11. So, Nintendo did announce that they are indeed having a Nintendo Direct tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, I am gonna throw out some predictions here. And the way that I've set this up is that when I look at my list, I have 5 actual predictions, things that I actually expect to happen here. And then I have 5 wish list items, and these wish list items are they're not super likely, but they're not outside the realm of possibility either. Like, these are things that could actually happen, but they're a little, they're more me trying to will them into existence as opposed to me actually genuinely thinking that they're going to be happening tomorrow, because they kind of border on that too good to be true territory. Yet enough time has passed since these last things, for the most part, that they could actually happen. So let's get into the actual predictions, and we'll start right away with the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake. I do think we're going to see that here. The June Direct is usually the one that Nintendo has the biggest announcements for. Sometimes the September Direct as well. But June and September are primarily the 2 months of the year where Nintendo consistently has a Direct, like a mainline Direct, and some big announcements. So I do expect to see this Ocarina of Time remake that's been rumored for a few months now, thanks to the supposed leak from Nate the Hate. So I'm looking forward to seeing that tomorrow. Now, up next, I do think that we're going to see the release date for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. I do think that it's about that time, Fire Emblem Three Houses, I'm pretty sure, had a June or July release date back in 2019. Based on the runway that we have for Nintendo's lineup for this year, I don't think it's gonna be June or July. We already have the Star Fox remake coming out in June, and I believe Splatoon Raiders is already in July. So I do think that Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave release date is going to land in either August or September. I would personally prefer it to be August, since September's already pretty chock full as it is right now. But I do think that it's going to... I'm going to actually say I do think it's going to be August. So yeah, but the actual prediction is just that we'll get a release date. I'm half predicting August, but I'm also half predicting September. Next up, we do have Dusk Bloods. I do think that we're going to see it at this Direct. This is like kind of half prediction, half wish list. I think it'll be there, but at the same time, part of me is like, it's... I don't want to get my hopes up too much for this. I could absolutely see them not including it in this Direct, just as much as I could see them including it here. But I would love to see it, so we'll see. And those are the big 3. As far as actual big deal announcements, those are the 3 that I actually expect here. And to see any of those 3 things not happen tomorrow would be a disappointment in my eyes. But out of those 3, the one that I think is the most likely to not make it is the Dusk Bloods. Up next for predictions, this is a smaller one, not really a big deal, but I do think that we're going to see Super Mario Sunshine included into the GameCube library for Nintendo Switch Online. It was already confirmed that it's going to be there at some point, but I think that now is a good time to announce and drop that into Nintendo Switch Online for Nintendo Switch 2 users. It's the summertime. Mario Sunshine is the perfect game for that summer vacation vibe, so I do actually think that would be a pretty fitting thing to see here at this general Nintendo Direct in June. I also think that we're going to see Switch 2 Sports. Now, this could either be just a Switch 2 version of Nintendo Switch Sports, or it could be a whole new game only for the Switch 2. And if I'm being honest, I do think it's just going to be a whole new game for the Switch 2. I don't see much value in having a Switch 2 version of Switch Sports, because the game already, it runs at 60 frames at all times, and it looks just fine. And I think that it's such a casual, user base that they don't really... I don't think that people who play Switch Sports outside of Nintendo enthusiasts, I think the casual market for that game doesn't even know what 60 frames per second even means, to be honest. So I don't think there's much business sense in having a Switch 2 upgrade to the original game, so I do think that we're going to see a sequel. And the reason I even include it is because it was part of the Nate the Hate leak as well from March, I think it was. So yeah, I think we're going to see Ocarina of Time remake, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave with a release date, the Dusk Bloods, Mario Sunshine for Nintendo Switch Online, and a sequel to Switch Sports. Next up for my wish list, we're going to have 5 items, the first of which is a very small random item. I'm just trying to put it out there into the ether and try and make it happen. Bomberman Hero for Nintendo 64. I would like to see that game on Nintendo Switch Online. I probably should have checked to make sure that it's not on there, but I'm pretty sure it's not on there. I would like to see that. I mean, I'd also like the original Super Smash Bros. On there, but I'm not, I don't expect that. I do think that Bomberman Hero would be an appropriate enough fit for Nintendo Switch Online. I had that game as a kid. It's actually probably my favorite Bomberman game. It's the only one that's like an actual adventure / platformer that I can think of, that I know of. I think that game's awesome. I've actually been playing it on Project 64 on my older computer, and it's a good time, so I could see that being here. It does sometimes run at like 10 frames per second, it feels like, but still, it's a good time. Now, this next one is something that I've been trying to will into existence for a very, very long time, and that is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I want the Mass Effect trilogy available on a Nintendo console. And the main reason that I want it so badly is because when the Wii U came out, it launched with Mass Effect 3, but only Mass Effect 3. No Mass Effect 1, no Mass Effect 2, and that was a knuckleheaded decision in my opinion, so I just want that. I just want a little closure, and I want to be able to see the entire trilogy for Commander Shepard's story on a Nintendo system. I don't care if it's on Switch 1 or Switch 2. Obviously, I would prefer Switch 2. I wouldn't even buy it. I think that Mass Effect 3 being included on the Wii U, but not the first 2 games, especially I think the Mass Effect trilogy, not Legendary Edition, but the original Mass Effect trilogy had actually come out around that same time on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. So to see the Wii U not get it when the other consoles were getting it, but to get Mass Effect 3, it's just kind of it's blue balls, man. It's a fucking tease. So I want Mass Effect Legendary Edition on Nintendo Switch 2. Now, another third-party game that I want to will into existence on Nintendo platform, again, Switch 1, Switch 2 doesn't matter, but again, I'd prefer Switch 2 so it can run better, is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Now, this one I don't really think is super likely, at least right now, because we just got the release date for the Elden Ring Tarnished Edition for Nintendo Switch 2, and that Tarnished Edition DLC is also going to be releasing on that same day, I believe in August, for other platforms, and we still have, again, the Dusk Bloods around the corner. So I do think From Software is full steam ahead on getting those 2 things figured out and released, but I personally would love to see Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice on a Nintendo platform, mostly just because I want Sekiro as a playable character in a Super Smash Bros. Game in the future. I think he would have a killer moveset and an awesome kit, so I would like to see Sekiro in Super Smash Bros. Someday, and in order for that to happen, we gotta get the game that he comes from onto one of these platforms, Nintendo platforms. Up next, this one is, again, kind of citing the Nate the Hate podcast rumor / leaks or whatever. Now, his leak, I think, had mentioned a remake of Super Metroid. I don't want a remake of Super Metroid. I don't think Super Metroid needs a remake. I think that game is perfectly fine as it is. If you want to play it, you can go play it. It's great. It doesn't need a remake in my opinion. But I do want Metroid 6. And Metroid Dread came out about 4.5 years ago, so I do think that we could get an announcement for Metroid 6 here. I don't think it's very likely. Again, this is my wish list half of the video, so I'm just trying to will it into existence, but I enjoyed Metroid Dread well enough. But I would like to see Metroid 6, and I do hope that it has a little less linearity to it. Don't get me wrong, I love Metroid Dread, I love Metroid Fusion, I love Metroid Zero Mission. Those are all very linear 2D Metroid games, but they're all fantastic entries. I would just like to see, if they do a Metroid 6, I would like to see them take a little bit more inspiration from the open-endedness of Super Metroid. And potentially, you know, maybe it's one of those projects that started as a Super Metroid remake and then they decided, you know what, we're going to make it a new game. Kind of like how they were doing a Link to the Past remake that ended up turning into a Link Between Worlds. So I would like Metroid 6, and I would like it to be open-ended in the same nature that Super Metroid was. My final wish list item, I saved this one for last on purpose because it's the one I want the most, and the timing can make sense, but it also, like, I want a new Animal Crossing. The team that makes Animal Crossing games is the same team that makes Splatoon games, which is very unfortunate for me, because I don't give a fuck about Splatoon. I don't give a single fuck about Splatoon. Now, I know Splatoon Raiders is coming out soon, and, you know, that's a whole thing. But they focus too much on Splatoon. They don't focus, like, I just wish they had separate teams so that one team could just focus only on Animal Crossing and one could focus only on Splatoon. But I want a new Animal Crossing. New Horizons came out in 2020, so it's been over 6 years, and yeah, granted, we got the 3.0 update pretty recently in that Nintendo Switch 2 version of the game, and we got some new content alongside those things. So now that I'm saying it out loud, this is like very, very unlikely. But I want a new Animal Crossing game for Nintendo Switch 2. Business-wise, I'm sure it's going to happen eventually. Animal Crossing New Horizons is the best-selling Nintendo Switch title that was made for that system from the ground up. If we're not including Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, New Horizons is the best-selling game on the Nintendo Switch. So we're definitely going to get a new Animal Crossing game for Nintendo Switch 2 at some point. But I'd like it to happen sooner than later. So those are my predictions and my wish list items for this Nintendo Direct. We'll see how many of those I get accurate. I do genuinely think that the first 5 are... I think my predictions are actually pretty safe and pretty likely. But out of those 5 things, I think the 2 safest bets are the Ocarina of Time remake and Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave getting a release date. Everything else is kind of up in the air. Maybe it's just going to be a bunch of farm simulator games and a bunch of JRPGs again. A bunch of cozy games again. You know, we'll see. But either way, I'm looking forward to watching it. I'll probably do a reaction video to it like I've done for the State of Play and the Xbox Showcase. I'll probably record myself watching it and upload that as well as my immediate impressions after the fact. So look forward to that. And until then, this has been me trying to will shit into existence from Nintendo. Thank you everybody for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff, and we'll see you all next time. Until then, keep leveling up, everyone, and take care.